What's up, YouTube? For this video, I'll be talking about powerlifting as a form of training for bodybuilders. It seems in the recent years there's been a lot of more powerlifter, bodybuilder hybrids, and bodybuilders doing more powerlifting style of training, which is awesome in theory, but I think too much of it can potentially have adverse effects on your bodybuilding goals. Kind of an individual basis, but yeah, I'll go into that. I got the idea for this video after reading an article on C Nation by Cliff Wilson, and it was titled, "Is Powerlifting Hurting Bodybuilding?" And by judging that title alone, you may think that it's purely against powerlifters or powerlifting for bodybuilders, but it's actually kind of the opposite. While it says powerlifting is good for bodybuilders, it does say that maybe too much of it could be detrimental to your bodybuilding goals. And after reading all the article, I pretty much agree with it 100%. I'll kind of just recap some stuff that I read there that I also agree myself and have thought previously in the past before reading that article. But yeah, so one interesting part about that article I remember was there was a research study that it posted, and in that research study, two different groups. One trained 7 sets for 3 reps, and the other trained 3 sets for 10 reps. And the volume and workload was the same in that sense. So they just kind of wanted to test purely like what's better for hypertrophy, what's better for strength. So yeah, after the results of that test, it turned out that both groups experienced similar hypertrophy gains, basically the exact same, very, very similar. The group lifting 7 times 3 experienced more strength gains, which isn't too surprising considering they were working closer to their, maximal effort, maximal workload, and all that. So that's not too shocking, really. But the fact that they experienced similar gains in hypertrophy got a lot of people thinking, like, okay, so if they both experience the same gains in hypertrophy, but one gives you better strength, then obviously I'm going to go for the, same hypertrophy, but better strength route, which in theory makes sense. But like the article mentioned, there's a lot of other factors you don't take into consideration when first analyzing the results. First of all, the group doing 7 times 3 took roughly 70 minutes to complete the workout, while the group doing 10 times 3 took, or not 10 times 3, 3 times 10 took, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but within 10 to 20 minutes or something. And the group doing 7 times 3 reported to just feel a lot worse afterward, probably just more drained, more tired, harder on their joints and whatnot. Whereas the group doing 3 times 10 felt, fine, just as good as ever, really. So while they did experience similar gains in hypertrophy, the group doing a more powerlifting style took a lot longer to experience the same results, basically 4 times as long at least. So when you look in the long run, which group do you think has more longevity to make progress? The group that feels great, gets the workout done in 1/4 of the time, or the group that feels like shit, their joints are hurting, and their workouts are taking 4 times longer than normal? I think it's kind of a no-brainer there. For purely longevity reasons and time efficiency, if you're trying to work out the same volume, same hypertrophy gains in the same session, the hypertrophy style can do it a lot quicker for the same results, be easier on your joints, be easier all around. Or, you could take 4 times as long and, get the same results. And with, hypertrophy route, the, higher rep, more volume route, you can say you got that same gains in like 1/4 of the time. So then just logic says, just keep on. That's what I'm looking for. You can get more work done basically doing the 10 times 3, so you could get 4 times the amount of gains over the same session as it would to do to get that one set of gains for just the 10 times or 7 times 3 route. Sorry. So yeah. So to kind of speak my own thoughts instead of just mirroring someone else's, I do think powerlifting is good for bodybuilders. For the most part, definitely. I think everyone can benefit from some type of squat, deadlift, bench, unless you have like an injury barring you from doing so. I think everyone should at least do that a little bit. I'm not saying 3 times a week or anything like that, but once a week, once every 2 weeks, just to get some type of big compound movements going in there. I think that can be good. A lot of bodybuilders in the past, maybe not as much recently, have had the problem of having, a bigger upper body but smaller legs in proportion. And with powerlifting, you have your squats, deadlifts, bench. Squats and deadlifts greatly affect the legs. Deadlifts is going to affect kind of like all over, but it's going to have a big effect on your legs and hamstrings, glutes, and all that shit. Squats, self-explanatory, hamstrings, glutes, quads, everything. And bench, that's going to be mostly chest, some shoulders, triceps, depending on, your exact form and whatnot. But regardless, 2 out of those 3 movements have a huge focus on legs, and the other one has an okay focus on upper body. So if a bodybuilder, explicitly did those 3 lifts, like if they did that 3, 4, 5 times a week and barely did any other isolation and accessory work, and unless their genetics told them differently, they would probably have a very disproportionate lower body to upper body, which would be different than bodybuilders in the past, because a lot of them in the past, had their bigger upper body and smaller lower body. So while that fixes that problem, it creates a new problem. It's like one area being bigger than the other. That's with bodybuilding, you don't want that. You want symmetry, proportion. So your lower body being bigger than your upper body is no better than your upper body being bigger than your lower body. It's the same concept. You're disproportionate still. So with that in mind, I do think that powerlifting is good for obviously leg development and some back, but a lot of legs too. So just to help out with the leg development, I think it should definitely be included in a routine. However, like I previously mentioned, too much of that could potentially be a bad thing. If your legs already grow pretty fast compared to your upper body, like if you have a hard time, getting your upper body to pop out more with your shoulders, arms, chest, and stuff, doing a split that's focused on focused on powerlifting will probably not be ideal for you, because it'll just add more to your already apparent strengths and just make your disproportion upper body look that even more noticeable. However, if you're a guy who has great upper body genetics, can get your biceps bigger just by looking at a dumbbell or some shit, a power building split with a focus on powerlifting could probably be pretty beneficial for you, actually. If your upper body's already in great shape, you can just do some curls, some lateral raises, and that's all you really need to get them to grow. A powerlifting emphasized split could be very, very good, because it'll focus a lot on your legs and hopefully bring that up to match your upper body. So I think it's very situational how much powerlifting you should have in your split. Depends on your individual genetics. I think regardless, everyone should have some type of powerlifting in their split. If you're a guy, just to kind of recap there, if you're a guy with great upper body genetics and a little bit larger than lower, you should probably have more powerlifting. But if you're a guy with already bigger legs than your upper body, you should honestly probably focus more on your typical bodybuilding hypertrophy style of split. The higher volume, higher rep training, more sets, that got categorized as bodybuilding style of training for a reason. It's for bodybuilders. It's been proven to be the most efficient and maximizing the potential for bodybuilders, so it's all in the name. If you want to be a bodybuilder, bottom line, you got to train like a bodybuilder. Same thing with powerlifting. If you want to be a powerlifter, you got to train like a powerlifter. Doing a bunch of high rep shit might help a little bit on the side, but if you're trying to be a powerlifter, you're gonna want to focus on your big 3 lifts in the same that low rep range. That's what's best gonna help your goals with that sport. Same thing with bodybuilding. It's been proven that higher reps, high volume training is most efficient. for hypertrophy, so why would you not do the most efficient method of training for your sport if that's what your main goal is? You know, if you're a powerlifter and bodybuilder hybrid, I think you can definitely do like a power building split. Although whatever your main goal is, you know, you'd focus more on that. So if your powerlifting was your main focus, you know, obviously do more focusing on powerlifting and the lower reps and the compound lifts and shit. But if you're a hybrid and bodybuilding is your main focus, yes, you should include powerlifting in your routine. However, the emphasis and biggest focus should be on hypertrophy style of training, you know, 8 to 12 reps, up to 15 reps, you know, 20 reps even occasionally. But yeah, 8 to 12 rep range on average, and just get a lot of volume in there. Speak a little bit on my current method of training. I'm kind of the category that falls into I have pretty good upper body genetics, but my lower body, well, isn't bad. It just, you know, probably isn't as developed overall as my upper body. So with that in mind, I can benefit from more powerlifting and a little less isolation. Although I'm still going to do a lot of isolation, a lot of hypertrophy movements, definitely. I can spend a little bit more time focusing on some heavier movements, heavier rep ranges, lower rep ranges, and yeah. So my split currently is I train 6 days a week, 3 days or more hypertrophy based, and the other 3 days are more powerlifting and strength based. So I'll do chest, back, legs all twice a week. You know, one of those days I'll go more for higher reps, get more isolation, just more volume overall, and then the other day, whether it's chest, back, or legs, I'll start off with either deads, bench, or squats, and just go really heavy in that, lifting a 3 to 5 rep range for most of it. And then after I get that most important compound lift out of the way, got my powerlifting lower rep range movement out of the way, I'll transition more to isolation and hypertrophy based stuff and more volume. So while 3 of those days are kind of powerlifting and strength based, that's just really for the first exercise. After that, I transition, you know, into my typical hypertrophy bodybuilding style of training. I'm a bodybuilder first and foremost, so I need to train like a bodybuilder if I want to be successful as a bodybuilder. But that's not to say that powerlifting a little bit on the side can't help your goals. But too much might be a little bit detrimental. So yeah, that's basically it. Just to give a little quick summary here. Regardless, for bodybuilders, I think you can benefit from powerlifting. However, how much powerlifting you can benefit from, honestly, kind of depends on your individual genetics. You know, if you have big legs, small biceps, triceps, and shoulders, you know, all the squats, deadlifts, and bench in the world isn't going to bring out those weaker body parts. You're going to have to do some direct isolational work, some curls, some extensions, some lateral raises and stuff. Like, when you look at it from a realistic standpoint, there's no way you're going to get your arms to grow just by doing squats and deadlifts and focusing on powerlifting. If you want to get an individual muscle to grow, you got to work that muscle. So yeah, that's basically kind of my take and opinion on it. Some people may disagree, but you know, I just kind of go by my own personal experience and the research studies that I've read and all the articles and shit that I've also read. So it's kind of a scientific approach combined with personal experience and logic, kind of. So yeah, that's my take on it. But yeah, the video's pretty much over. If there's any other video topic ideas you want to see me cover in the future, please leave a comment below. Click that subscribe button too. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, next video, depending on what feedback I get, I'll either do an informational video again like this, or I'll do a workout video. And in the future, probably the next few weeks, I would like to do a kind of grocery shopping type video, where I just kind of show some foods that I eat and kind of give ideas for good food options, depending on if you're, you know, cutting for contests, or even like bulking or something. So kind of depending on your goal with nutrition there, you know, I'll kind of give some ideas that can kind of assist that, you know. But yeah, all right. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time. thanks